Well, there is time, so there is age. There's sickness and there's suffering and death. All of these things are part of the groundwork of life. And part of our agreements. Part of our agreements. For instance, I used to tell the people, I even wrote about it when I was young, that at a certain point I wanted to be able to play guitar in a more natural way, with a good left hand. Never been able to do that without pain up until recently. Mid-70s, all of a sudden, something is released in the hand. And now I can play chords a little better than I have before without pain. Could play them stressfully, painfully. No, none. So it's just like a little door opening at the end of this life. I'm assuming it's the end, not the beginning, right? But maybe because it's the end, it's a new beginning. And so there must have been some sense of agreement that I had with myself, saying, this is what I wanted to do later on. If I couldn't do it, I'll pay the price of not being able to do it, but hopefully I get some grace granted in the form of being able to play somewhat like a guitar player plays, easily with chords and strengths. Because guitar playing requires a lot of hand strength. Right? And so all of a sudden, this past year, even a month ago, started to feel better on acoustic guitar. Easier. How? How's it getting better? How's it getting older? It's just part of an arrangement, an agreement. I couldn't guarantee that was going to happen. I can't say I knew that was going to happen, but I had a sense that would happen. I had a sense. Possibly a prior agreement you can make with yourself. It's possible.
Do all things that happen, let's say late in life, come as a result of prior agreement?
Many do. So I think one of the sayings is that, if you wish for it, it might happen. Be careful of what you wish, be careful of what you say. It could happen. See? So there is something about the power of speech and thought. So we're talking about three forces that will work from the body, forces of the body, of physical action that determine, or are determined and determined. And then you have speech, which, if it's related to the mind, can be related to the causal plane, and that's be in the future or in the past, and one reflecting the other, or one blending with the other, or one competing with the other. See? It depends on how you figure what it is that's happening to you relative to your desires, your dreams, right? Your memories, and what your purpose is, and how any of that is affecting what you've known to be your purpose in life. See? And assuming you know what your purpose is, okay? Or what your direction is, or not. Come in.
Is prior agreement the same as one's will?
Could be. But it could be a flash moment you had many years ago as a child, saying, I'd like to do this, maybe. Right? But when that came up, the flash came up, it could have had more to do with the universe. I'm being hypothetical now, where there were certain forces that may have aligned or come into play at that point to make what you thought actually manifestable, like a certain desire. But then it's not a desire, it's a premonition. It's a knowing before, could be. So we're capable of knowing before. See, knowing now, but also knowing before. See, so we're not just in our bodies in this small closed-off world, actually. We can assume that. But if you stop and you open, then you may be bringing into focus prior agreements when you are quiet enough and not in self-struggle, right? Not in conflict, clear enough to let the unconscious or the subconsciousness manifest what you have planted in it that needs to be coming and needs to be happening. See? Because of when now it happens. When then. something said when could be more important, see, than anything said before. Okay? It's a mystery, but it's something to look at. It's important in terms of your creating of your life and determining what happens. And you have to stop and think about what you've thought and said about it at certain times with intensity and force, strong desire.
Does shaking one's life up or repurposing one's life, is that part of the spiritual practice?
Spiritual practice doesn't mean spiritual practice, actually. It's a word. It really means what you're able to create and transform. That's the spiritual. So it's not static. It's not like realization of a sort. No, it's dynamic. Spiritual is enlivening, enlightening, reactivating, regenerating and recharging. Spiritual then is not static, it's dynamic, it's creative. The spiritual path is about changing what didn't work for you before. Taking your suffering and transforming it into a more happy framework to be operating at in terms of who you are and where you're going and what you're doing with certain people or for other people.
So being in a so-called rut, would that be considered non-spiritual? Or?
Being in a rut could be a step on the path. Everything and everyone is a step on the path, but that's a creative attitude. That means it's something for you to deal with and get beyond and not be stuck or rutted in, actually.
So the stuckness, that's the issue more than the conditions themselves?
Stuckness? What is that?
Just things not changing in one's life.
Some things are not supposed to change in one's life. And then that's why I say spiritual, it's creative. So if you're on a spiritual path, you should have plenty of intelligence and open-mindedness to change what needs to be changed from rut to possibility or potential. Viewpoint then. Say, oh, this way, I think I'm going to be this way now. So it's never too late to change, in a certain way, with certain conditions in consideration. Say, you need legs if you're going to become a better runner. You're going to need some brain power if you're going to be writing things and be a better writer or teacher or whatever. You need to know what your potential is and what you've not developed yet or have the need to develop as you move forward, regardless of your age. See? And then we have to see it as like death is a step. That's very important. Death is just another step on the path. See? A rest point for many, an end point for sure, but not an end point as an end point. No, it's a change point. And for many, it's an upgrade. For some, it may be a downgrade, but it's a grade in any case. It's movement, despite what appears as death. No, that means what was active and alive has moved on to something better, we would hope.
Do the astrologers recognize a death sign the same way they do a birth sign?
They do, yeah, of course. There are indications, but they're relative. See, because with astrology, which is interesting, you have everything say you have 12, but it's really 6 divided in 2. So one's the good side, one's the dark side, or the upside, the downside, the positive side, or the negative side of the one thing. See, so it's balance. So astrology is yin yang in terms of 6 basic modes. Self, other. See, your resources, other people's resources. Your personal communication and communication at the opposite level. See, impersonal communication. You're home and then you have the public. You have your self-expression and then there's group expression. See? And then finally you have your health and then you have retreat. And that basically embraces the 12 houses of astrology. still balance. So you have life and you have death.
And this is the enlightened way to find balance in
Balance is being created spontaneously in everybody's case all the time. Your body's balancing out, sometimes regardless of what your mind is thinking or what your emotions feel. There is that process. See, sometimes it's given to you in dreams, if you're a dreamer, see, whether they're lucid or not, depending on how you perceive them, right? Realistic or, or fantastic. Things are being worked out. See? So you can be wishing for something and then in a dream you had it. And you experienced it in a dream. So the dream master can say to you, why are you wanting it on the physical? I already gave it to you on the astral, on the other levels. You have it there, so what do you want? How much more do you want? So, we're not talking about just vivid dreams, we're talking about a whole other level of reality. So, vivid is just an ascertainment of a quality of what the dream or experience is, but it's not determining anything, it's just a quality. Vivid seems more real for some and maybe not for others. So you can have frighteningly vivid dreams of horrible events and circumstances. And so the vividness is, still, it's not changing the horror of it. We're talking about the pixel level of it. It can be a nightmare in high pixelation. In any case, you're a soul, I want to say this, you're a soul and you're not a dream. You're not a dream, but you're capable of being a dream. You are capable of form, but our source is formlessness. See, our intelligence is enlightenment. See, clear intelligence. See, so we have to have a sense of what that is so we can fall back into the reality that it's not change, it's changelessness. See, it's not form, it's formlessness. So we have to have the courage to assume that. Because we're going outwards, you got to go inwards to know what it is. You have to go deeper to be in touch with yourself, in a manner of speaking, not just more, say, exposed. Yeah, you have to be more inside, aware, say, intelligent, say, conscious.
So should our focus, if we want things to change, be on conditions or the formlessness from which...
There's always room for change. Sometimes a person needs to do is say, change. Change it. Let it go. It's change. Right? Goodbye is change. Closing something is change. Refusing something is change. Saying no is change. Saying yes is change. So we have these general concepts, but we're not always aware of how we are, at a very subtle level, changing. Coming out here is change. Sitting before this is change. This is change. It's all change. Are you talking about humongous changes? No, they are what they are. It's a change that's constant. Constant. And we're not even aware of the inner changes that are happening that enables you to be here and hear this and resonate with this, which means that you may be actually having resonance with other planes of consciousness to be here. And that this little gesture of meeting here and having these kinds of discussions that we have may be as part of your monastic karma. But it just takes on this shape rather than a more formal or institutional shape. So it's more convenient, more local monastic karma. It's a state of mind then. So we need to recover our state of mind, the monastic mind, which means more neutral, neither for nor against, and yet creative, so that you're ready to make changes to increase your level of openness, open consciousness, potential. Letting the universe into your little spot here, your self spot. Bring that in. And that's a matter of attitude, and then a matter of, say, discipline, a matter of practice, and maybe a matter of healing, in your case, maybe healing.
So is feeling stuck also a condition of change?
Could be. Yeah, it's a step on the path. For how long? Setting up what? All of these are part of it, because it's a stream, so we're in the stream.